Kevin Stefanski. I really wanted to start this time off by getting to know you a little bit and your history and your past. And something that Matt Ryan said in the introductory press conference the other day was that something that he really appreciated about you was your entire lived coaching experience. And as I was kind of thinking about that part of it, 2 decades worth of coaching experience is a long time to gather so much. And I know that I could sit and go through your resume and I could go watch all of the teams that you've played for, or that you coached for. But in your own words, who are your greatest influences that have shaped you into the coach you are sitting right here today?
Well, as you can imagine, our players, there's so many people that come before them, and you hear the quote, "We stand on the shoulders of giants." And I feel the same way. I feel the same way in this position that I have now. The people that have come before me, I have so much gratitude towards the coaches that have been here, towards the coaches that have been in this NFL to make it what it is. I've been so blessed to be around some amazing people. I mean, I could give you my high school coach,
right.
I could give you my college coaches, and then just the people that have come in and out of my life in this profession. They're just amazing people. And what I've tried to do every year of my coaching profession, certainly every day, try to learn something, try to get better. And it's been a journey for me, and to have these people that I've worked with and that have shaped my way of thinking about this game, I can't tell you how lucky I am. I'm so indebted to so many different people that have come in and out of my life and made me the coach that I am today.
Who are some of those people that, whether it be from a football schematic standpoint or even just as a leader of people, who influences Kevin Stefanski?
Sure, Gary Kubiak's probably very close to the top of the list, and Coach Kub and I were together not even one calendar year, but we were together in 2019. Really shaped a lot of how I think about the game and how I think about that term you'll hear a lot of people in the Kubiak-Shanahan tree say, that term, marriage of the run and the pass. Mm-hmm. That's really central to what Coach Kub believes in, all the success that he's had in his career, both as a player and as a coach. Really drills down to that idea of the marriage of the run and the pass, and how the run helps the pass, how the pass helps the run, and then just the person that he is, the authentic person that he is. He'd be right there at the top of the list. Leslie Frazier is somebody that I worked with in Minnesota, who's now in Seattle going for a Super Bowl, and his steady hand, just the way he operated on a daily basis, just how he was demanding of players and coaches, but just was the same person every single day, and just his relationships that he had throughout the building. So I've been blessed. I can really talk about different people that I've been exposed to that helped me in schematics, but I've been just every assistant coach that I've ever worked with, every player that I've ever coached, I feel like I've taken something from every single one of those people, again, to shape who I am.
It's interesting because you talked in the introductory press conference, and it was my favorite quote, I think, of the whole day, where you called yourself a self-proclaimed maniac when it comes to player development. And I was just thinking about, at what point in your career did you feel like that was who you were at your core as a coach?
I just think it's one of the most rewarding things for a coach to see their player get better. That's all that we want to do. And I've tried to be very, very intentional about that. And I think our league, the NFL, has been developing players since the beginning of time, but I think the way in which we do it maybe has evolved, and the one-on-one time and the different creative ways that you can utilize to get the best version of your players. And I think that there's this misnomer that you draft a player and just throw him in there and he's going to get better, and maybe he will. Maybe they just have so much physical God-given talent, but that's one of our number one jobs as a coach, is to develop. And in order to do that, you better have a great relationship. So of course it goes back to building relationships with players so that they know where you're coming from, which is a place of total trust. And then I'm going to ask you to do some things that are really, really hard, because on the other end of this, there's development. And development for our players leads to individual success, which leads to collective success. So we will have a plan, a meticulous plan for each one of our players in terms of how to develop them. But it is a point of pride for us as coaches to see our players end up as a better version than when we got them.
Yeah, coaching is teaching, and teachers and coaches.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I am glad that you brought up this idea of having individual development plans for each individual, because that was kind of my next question: is how do you go about putting those together, and what are the main buckets of information, process that are benchmarks for how you see development in a player?
It's something I've done my entire career with our players, and development. It's a 12-month type of thing. This is a year-round calendar when you're talking about getting the best out of your players. But I do think when you start in April, that start of the off-season program, that is the time when you literally deliver your players an improvement plan. And what I'd like to do is have bullet points of 1, 2, 3 things that here's what we feel like you can get better at. And oh, by the way, here's how we're going to do it. Instead of just, hey, I want you to do X, Y, or Z. Right. This is the plan of attack of how we're going to do that. The best players I've been around, the guys who are on their way to Hall of Fame careers, still want to get better, regardless of what year they are, whether they're a rookie or a 10-year vet. They want to get better, the great ones that I've been around. So even when a guy is as established as some of the guys I've been blessed to coach, you give them something to work on. And that's a big picture. And then every day you walk out to the practice field with them and say, okay, here's what we're going to do today, and here's why we're going to do what we're going to do. And giving players the why behind the work that you're doing enables them to throw themselves into that work and, again, come out of it better on the other side.
So it's not too long ago that you were an offensive coordinator yourself, and your play calling even up to last year. What I find really interesting, and it kind of full circles back to what you're talking about with Gary Kubiak, is your path as an NFL coordinator, I felt like actually has a little bit of a parallel with Tommy Rees, who is now taking over play calling here in Atlanta. And what I mean by that is in 2018, you're named interim offensive coordinator, spend the last kind of half, probably less than half of that year calling plays, full-time play caller in 2019, like you said, that full year. Tommy now has, you allowed him to call plays, I think week 10 of last season, and so he got his feet wet a little bit in the NFL calling plays. Now he moves this year, full-time coordinator. When you think back to that 2019 year, what were systems, processes, people who were in place that allowed you to flourish as an offensive coordinator, your first full time around?
Without a doubt. I think back to that season, and we all need people to prop us up. Yeah. And I was so blessed to, in 2019, install a Kubiak offense with Gary sitting right next to me. So very lucky to do that. And then I just think about the role that I can play for Tommy on game day is very similar to the role that Gary played for me on game day when we were together that season. And sometimes, in some ways, you're a caddy and you're suggesting some clubs, and you're trying to make sure you're thinking about a certain situation and just giving tips and giving reminders and those type of things. I think Tommy is more than capable to be a really, really good play caller in this league. I think he's shown that over the course of his time last season and over the course of his career in college. I think he's a very creative thinker. He's in the moment, makes really sound decisions, very good communicator. And I look at it, how can I serve Tommy on game days? How can I tee him up when he needs me? How can I make sure everybody's quiet when they need to be quiet? When can I fill the void a little bit and give him some ideas? But I want to serve him on game day in the best way I can.
So there's not a general manager in place at this current moment. It's okay. There's someone who's going to be coming in. I know obviously kind of the first domino to fall once that person comes in is, building a rapport, building a relationship with that person. But from that point on, what are kind of the dominoes that you see falling to make sure that you guys are aligned in what the vision has been set to be?
Absolutely. I think that's the fun part. We'll get a general manager in here, and then very quickly let's roll up our sleeves, let's put our heads together, and let's start to make some decisions now that will set us up for down the road. Obviously, in week 1 for our general manager, it's not free agency, it's not the draft yet, but we can really lay the groundwork of how we see this going. Who do we think we are? Who do we think we can become? And then with the general manager, with Matt, myself, putting our heads together and coming up with a roadmap to where we want this to go. And then also having the ability to pivot off of that, because as we all know, when it comes to player acquisition, there are things that come across that you weren't looking for, and all of a sudden there's an opportunity to do something. So we'll always think that way, to be ready to be nimble in situations like that. But first things first would be laying the groundwork with our general manager, with Matt, with myself, of the roadmap for success in 2026.
Something I saw you say recently that I thought was a very interesting way to put team building and what you're trying to put into place here is you said calluses don't blister. We need to callus our football team up. What does that look like in practice for you?
I think it's just a mentality. It's what we're going to do, how we're going to structure our off season, how we'll structure our practices. In order to get ready to play football, you got to play football, and it's got to be hard. And there are callus that comes with that sets you up for success on Sundays in the fall. If you don't have that callus, you're maybe not ready for how physical a football game will be. So everything we do in this building, whether it's in the weight room, out on the practice field, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard work. And I think part of that toughness that comes with a football team that shows itself in the physicality of a football team, that is a earned thing. And we won't skip any steps in order to earn that toughness.
Last question, because I know got a lot to do today, very busy, but when fans come into Mercedes-Benz Stadium in 2026, when a fan sitting at home turns the TV on to see the Atlanta Falcons play, what do you hope that they see, and what would that tell you about the team that you're building?
Well, I think what they're going to see, it's going to be a team that's a product of all that hard work like we talked about. This is a physical game. That's why we love this game. It's not a contact sport, it's a collision sport. And we don't shy away from that part of this game. We want to be strong along the offense and defensive lines. We know where the games are won and lost in this league. So we want to have a very physical football team that fits the NFC South, that we understand how important it is to be able to run the ball and stop the run. And that's something that we don't just do because we want to do it. We do it because we know that it leads to winning and losing. Having a smart football team, situationally smart football team, a team that knows when it's 2 minutes left in the game and you have the lead, how to finish the game. When it's 2 minutes left to go in the game and you don't have the lead, how to go finish the game in those situations. So we'll work very hard to make sure that there's a shared situational awareness of our football team.
Well, I appreciate you sitting down with me, and I wish you the best of luck moving forward.
Thanks, Tori.